Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you happen to be seeing this, I would like to offer your bonus tarot and oracle card reading for the month of March of 2026 for the elemental energy of Earth. Earth covers the zodiac signs of Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. So if you're Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or have Earth high up in your chart, then this message is for you. I am shuffling the cards right now and pulling cards as we go. And if you've never had your charts read, they are kind of fun to see just what's going on there. There's a link in the description. It's not a sponsored link or anything like that, but it's to a natal chart, and it gives you your base 12 houses with all the little signs and symbols. And then a 10 to 20 page description of what all that chaos means. I am not super good with astrology, so it's nice to have a little spot you can check out and be like, what is going on here? So with that, we're almost done. How I like to do these is we'll do the Celtic Cross, basic Celtic Cross with a couple of changes that I've made. And that way we get an idea, a little snapshot of where you're at in the moment, and then we'll pull some oracle cards and see what's going on there. And these are general readings, so take what works, leave the rest. Also, if you see or sense something different than what I'm bringing forward, feel free to add it to the comments down below. It's always interesting to hear what other people have to say. And while you're down there, hit that like button, maybe subscribe. But with that, we'll get started. Your significator for Earth is, and this is who you are in this moment with all influences taken into consideration. You are the 10 of Wands. This one is an interesting one because you've come to the end of a cycle, but you keep carrying the same burden. But this burden is a burden where it's like a passion project that you know you finished, but you keep wanting to play with because it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be, is kind of how I'm feeling here. And it's also this indication of maybe it's time to set the burden that you're toting around down. It's no longer necessary to carry it. Everyone else around you is flying and you're still toting this thing around. And as you're coming to the end of this cycle, maybe it's time to reflect a little bit and see what needs to be let go of. So your significator is really saying, Earth, you've done a really good job, but you don't need to keep carrying all of that weight. It's no longer yours to worry about. It's okay to set it down, which is a pretty powerful statement. But with the 10 of Wands, Wands are fire, you're being told that you're being led, inside anyway, that this is such an important thing to you because it is your passion. It is something that you've put a lot of effort and energy into. You feel like if you set it down, quote unquote, you're going to lose it. You won't. You just don't need to carry it with you all the time. It's okay to put these passion projects down once in a while so you can actually breathe again. Sometimes the things we get passionate about, the things we get really wrapped up in, almost are suffocating, and that's kind of the energy I'm getting here for our Earth family. So, the energy that is crossing you, this is a challenge, an obstacle, something to be aware of that's maybe a little roadblock. We have the Four of Wands, and what's interesting with this is the Four of Wands is a celebratory card. So it's definitely saying don't be afraid of celebrating, but also don't put so much effort into it. Like, set the burden down, go have a nice dinner, relax. You've done a good job, and now it's time to just chill a little bit. And what this is saying is this is not a long-term thing. This crossing energy here is not something you're going to do forever. This is not something you're going to live there. This is a reminder to celebrate your victories, big or small, and then move forward. And that's where we're getting here is you've carried this burden for so long, you almost don't know how to not have it. So once you set it down, that doesn't mean that you're done with future projects. That means celebrate the fact that you completed it, yay, go you, and then move forward with the next project. So your higher self is the High Priestess number 2, and this is the energy of 2 in the Major Arcana, of beauty and severity. It's finding your balance. Your higher self is saying, when you set the burden down, it's time to observe. See where things are not quite where they should be. Redress the balance. Earth, you're really good at building strong foundations, but even at the foundation, if you don't level your concrete before you start building, before it dries, then you're going to have a house that's off level, and that's not a good thing. And that's what they're saying here is you want to make sure before you start your next project that you are in the best place possible, that you've leveled everything out, you've brought it back into balance, because you put so much focus in this passion project you were working on that Earth, did you actually let things slide in other areas of your life? That's what I'm hearing is this that you were so focused on this passion project, whether it was work or a relationship, that other things in your life kind of slipped by the wayside. Didn't get to the gym as much as you'd like, maybe start eating microwave food versus actually cooking, whatever that looks like. But that's what I'm getting is it's time to redress the imbalance that has been created by this. And that's not a shameful thing. It's just saying, we understand what happened. Source and the angels understand what happened. But now it's time to get back into it. Your shadow is the Queen of Swords. Now, swords are air. This is your opposite energy. And with the Queen of Swords, it's saying you feel like you've lost something. You haven't. That's the big aspect here is you haven't lost anything. But what you have had happen is you have the sensation of losing something. And that's that feeling of you've lost the brain, give me the words. You've lost the path forward. You've lost this drive that you thought you had because you've completed your project. And that's not the case, because you are successfully releasing new ideas. Now, these new ideas are just the babies. Look, you got little butterflies. They're little. So you're not in fully formed. And your shadow is saying, why are you upset over setting down the finalized project? You finished it. You finished this chapter of your life. You finished your first great American novel. You finished, but you can use this. You finished knitting that hat, crocheting that blanket. Whatever it is, you've completed it. And now you have the opportunity. Your shadow is saying, you have opportunity all around you to start something new. And yes, it may feel like you're losing, but you're not. You're actually on the precipice of something new. And so your shadow is saying, we understand. We get it. It's sad to end a project. It's sad to end a chapter of your life, but you have to remember there's something better coming. And with the being swords, this is a challenge. This is not going to be easy. Your shadow drags things out that need to be dealt with in the moment, but if you work with your shadow, it's only going to bring stuff that you need to be healed. The rest of it you can sort later. And so in this moment, that's where you're at. You're kind of stuck with this energy of, I'm sad I'm losing it, but you have to remember the flip side of that. Now I get to start something new. And that's what's coming forward here with those energies. So your immediate history is the Knight of Wands. You were quite the champion back in this last little bit. And the recent history is last 1 month, 6 months, or a year. And the Knight of Wands is saying you actually went to battle. That's the reason you succeeded. You fired up your capital W, your divine will, and said, no, this is what I will do. And you have conquered mountains. You have conquered your demons, and you have led yourself to the moment you're in now where you're carrying your victory around, but you don't need to tote that thing everywhere. Set it down. You've got new journeys ahead of you. But your immediate history is saying you were so honorable and you were so dedicated and devoted to completing that cycle that now you're not sure where to go next. That's where that brings in that confusion from your shadow. But the Knight of Wands for your history is saying you did a great job of protecting, building, and creating this last chapter. Now that it's over, you can move into a new one. With that, we'll look at your future, which is the next 1 month, 6 months, or a year. It depends on how it falls for you, is the Six of Cups. Again, celebratory. And this is celebrating the fact that you have achieved. There's a higher energy here guarding you and supporting you. And in the future, it's showing you that you're still going to have these little successes. I mean, that's what these guys are here. They're all your successes. But the question is, which one are you choosing to work towards next? So these two dragons are kind of the two sides of you in this moment, Earth. Where are you going? What are you choosing? You have a lot of doors that are open to you now, and with higher forces at play, angels and spirit guides and gods and goddesses and all the source energy that comes in, you're being offered a great opportunity. and they're asking the question, with everything that you've done so far, everything that you've achieved, and now you're starting to set your burdens down so you can actually move to the next one, what's your future look like to you? Sit down with a journal, sit down with a vision board, sit down and talk with your spouse, with your friend circle, the 3 to 5 that are always there for you. Talk to them and ask them, I completed this is where I'm at, where am I going next? Journaling it is really a good spot because you just put pen to paper and whatever comes to mind you write out. And then you follow the train of thought, sometimes it's really sporadic, and see what comes up, because your future is your decision, and that's what this is saying. But it's saying you have some very big choices that are going to lead to bigger and better things, especially now that you've achieved what you have. Your history is showing that you have the will and the drive and the fight to keep going and to overcome situations. Obviously, you know how to succeed because you're still carrying around your success in the moment, but your higher self is saying, set it down, find your new balance, and your shadow is wanting to remind you that just because one thing is over, it doesn't mean that you're done. You're still going forward. You still have more to do. So look to the future and get clear on what it is you're trying to develop next. Your inner attitude, your inner world, is the 7 of Pentacles. This is a nurturing energy. So inside, you know this already. You already know that you're not done. You've completed one cycle. You know you've got more things in the works. You know you're nurturing them. Which one are you picking next? Your inner world is showing that you have other options, and you know this. That's what this is really wanting to remind you of. Earth, you already know that you have these other options. I'm repeating it because that's what they're showing me. And they're saying, pick the one that looks the best. Which one is the closest aligned with what you have begun already? So if you've been working with kids, or if you've been working with baking, let's go with something along those lines, like a work-related one. And your next logical step would be to take that teaching certificate, go for your teaching certificate. Or if you're in the baking situation and you've been doing breads and basic pastries, you want to take it deeper, do cake decorating, go into the exotic stuff. But pick the thing that is closest aligned to the goal you just completed, the next logical leap of creativity for you, and go that route. Your inner world, you have these things where you're like, I have all these options, and then you start to have option paralysis where you don't know which one to pick. And that's your future, is pick the one that's the closest to what you just completed, so it's like a continuation of it. That way you don't feel like you're kicking your burden to the side and giving up on it. You're actually continuing the path ahead. So your outside environment, the things that are outside of your control that might be influencing, is number 17, the star. This is a really powerful indicator saying that the things that are outside of you that are influencing you are literally the stars themselves. And this is a good thing and a bad thing. So this is where being aware of what the planets are doing is a good idea. Doesn't mean you have to live and die by that. It's more to be aware of, like right now, Mercury is in retrograde, and if you haven't been playing with technology, it is all over the place right now. Everything is slow or glitchy. But if you're aware of it, then it's no longer, oh, I have to call the tech, I have to fix this. No, give it a minute, take a breath, get grounded in yourself, and ask Source to be like, can you clear this real quick? And notice what happens. This has happened to me twice in the last few days at my day job. So it's one of those things where when you become aware that there's a lot going on outside that's influencing you, and like I said, the constellations can do a lot of influencing on us, but when you're aware of it, you also learn to counteract that. So yes, let's say Taurus is having a conniption fit. Well, you would talk to Gemini to help bring a little balance to that. Now, does that mean you're going to put them in the same room? Not advised. But you can figure out how to balance these energies, and that's what the star is bringing up as an outside influence. Your higher self is saying you need to find balance, reset some things, get your foundation leveled again. And the star is saying, You've got things going on outside. It's not just your inner world here that you're adjusting. Pay attention to what's going on, pray about it, meditate on it so you hear the responses, and then see what comes out of it. Usually when you start that practice, things start to make more sense and you all of a sudden see the path ahead way more clearly. So, hopes and fears. We have the Six of Swords, again with that contrarian energy to you. The Six of Swords is really about a successful mission, that you're coming home without wounds. You've done the thing. You're showing the next generation, there's a little baby up there, that you can handle this and you can go forward. So your fears are, well, what if I left too soon? What if I abandon this project? What if I abandon this past experience? Okay, go into that. Why do you feel like that? You completed it. You've brought it to its logical conclusion. You're taking steps to continue forward with it. Why do you feel that you've abandoned it? And when you can answer those questions, then the fear dissipates. It just disappears. Because then you see the hope. Well, actually, I'm not abandoning it. I'm moving forward because I'm trying this new thing that's taking that foundation and I'm leveling it up. And that's what the Six of Swords is bringing forward here. It's not just about, well, I've ended that and I'm coming home. You're coming home with experience and knowledge, which equals wisdom, so you're able to apply that to all future events. So your fear in this particular instance is really about looking at the illusion, which is completely unfounded. Air signs are good for illusions as well, by the way. And when you're looking at that Earth, you're saying, oh wait, that's not real. I know where I'm at, I've gained this, and I can use that information in this new project, and off you go. So flip your fears, look at them from a separate spot, like step out of yourself and look at them from outside, and then break the illusion that they're holding. Because what I'm seeing here is you have a really good path forward, but there's some things that you might need to get a little more clear on before you can take those steps. Your final outcome, that's interesting, is the Five of Swords. I've had this one come up a few times in readings lately, and this is basically slaying the ego, not in a literal sense, you have to leash that thing, but leash the ego. You've conquered the ego is a good way to look at this. And this is where you get to fly free. Because you've overcome the fear. You've overcome the question, the doubts, the challenges that you've been feeling. Those are no longer yours because you've overcome them. You've conquered this. And your outcome is really about, once you get clear on what's ahead, it might look like a war field underneath you because you just trashed everything. But the reality is you didn't trash anything. You cut away the stuff that didn't serve you. You've cut away the illusions. You've cut away the excess. Now you're taking the wisdom that you've gained and you're going forward with this, Earth. So you're in a really good spot here. Don't get distracted by, well, I can't let it go. Or what if I lose it? You're not going to. That's what they're saying. That's that ego popping up being like, I will be in control. No. Settle down, ego. You have a role. This is not your place. And that allows your higher will, the clearest version of who you are, to actually step up, Earth, and show you the path forward. And again, they're showing that you have a lot of opportunities, but to negate that fear and the feeling of losing what you've already earned, take what you've earned, foundation that, and then use that as a launching pad for the next option. And like I said, with baking and basic pastries, you can take that and elevate it into the more exotic stuff. You can get into cake decorating. You can get into the chocolate sculptures, which I'm so envious of those people. I love watching those shows. But it's things like that where you can really take a basic platform and go forward with it. Start off working with a baker and see where it goes, because it can those type of things can go a long way, and that's where you're starting. You're taking what you already know, foundation, and build from that. So, and doing so without the ego. Don't let that get in the way. Put a leash on it, make it go play with some blocks somewhere. That way you can actually walk into it saying, this is what I know, what can you teach me? Because that allows you to actually grow into a better version of yourself, but it also allows you to be humble enough to know you don't know everything. You know a lot, obviously, you wouldn't be where you're at, Earth, but it's time to continue growing, and that's what's being offered to you here. So your oracle cards, if you have a question, you can pause the video, ask your question, and see what comes up, or you can just listen on and we will see what comes forward. Your first oracle card is number 34, Assessment. This is where it's calling you to check in with yourself. See where you're at. You've got earth, air, fire, and water in this image. You've got earth, you've got fire, you have the water, you've got a sylph running around up here. So you've got all the elements, and they're coming together to assess where they're at. Where's your balance at, Earth? What alignments have you made? What needs to be adjusted? What maybe habit or thought pattern needs to be removed from the system? And you can do that through affirmations. Louise Hay has some awesome books about such things. But you can really get clear when you assess where you're at, and then figure out what direction you want to go next. This reading is really about Earth. You've come to a crossroads, and now you're trying to figure out where you're going. So you want to get clear on that before you step out. Don't just go willy-nilly out into the woods. Figure out the direction you're heading. That way you can actually have a goal and a destination, and as you're going towards that, you'll feel better about where you're headed and about yourself. So your second card is number 13, Intermingle, and this has the coolest flower. It is that one right there. It's a passion flower. And Intermingle is about bringing this ideas together, which is really a cool continuation of assessment. Assessment, you have earth, air, fire, water. You're coming together. You're coming to a balance, your understanding. And then with Intermingle, you see the same color pattern. But now they're coming towards the center. They're pulling in because you're intermingling these energies, this knowledge, this wisdom, and you're creating something new. Earth, you're in the energy of alchemy right here, where you bring the opposites together. You unify with your less pleasant air side, because air is not friendly to earth, earth's not friendly to air, but you're able to bring them together by using fire and water, and then you can bring it into unity. So this is saying, take the things that you've learned, build something new, integrate all of it together. You're moving in the right direction. There may be some challenges along the way, but you're actually okay with that because of where you've come from. Again, your history is showing that Knight of Wands. You've fought your battles, so you know how to do that when you need to. Your last oracle card is number 3, Open-Minded. Don't just say, I'm going to do this, and then block out all their options. You might get halfway down a path and be like, whoops, not this one. And the timeline is allowed to shift. You're allowed to make these choices. So be open to new ideas, be open to new experiences. This ties into the ending card for your oracle or your tarot reading, because it's saying conquer and move forward and don't get distracted. The open-minded side is saying keep your ego in check. Walk into a situation, your new situation. Again, we'll go back to the bakery analogy. You're moving into a higher position. You've hired on this new place. You know certain things. What can you teach me? That leaves you open to being able to grow and expand. And this is what their advice going forward is. You've done your growth for where you're at. You really have kind of hit your glass ceiling for the current position. So now it's time to expand beyond that. And when you do, you have some options. Obviously, we've got options going on here. Pick your path ahead very carefully, Earth, but use what you already know as a way to help hone in on the next direction. Talk to the people that you know that are going to challenge you and support you, that inner 3 to 5 people that are your ride or dies, if you want to call them that, and assess your situation. Integrate this information, bring it into an alchemical concept where your union of opposites energy, and see what beautiful creation comes out of that. But walk forward with an open mind. Be open to new ideas, be open to change, and be open to the shift of existence, because things are happening for you, Earth, that are going to be exciting. I do see excitement going on here, but it's all about doing the inner work, getting clear on where you're going, and being okay with setting down certain parts of it, because you may not need that in the future. So with that, I will see you guys and gals in the next video. Have a great month of March, and yeah, just go forward and do great things.